USB-C adapters and USB-C cables, USB-C enclosures, USB-C hard drives. This may be getting just a little out of hand here, Apple. Well, hey, welcome to this edition of Man Cave Technology. I really appreciate the comments and engagement on my latest video on this MacBook Pro with the Touch ID, which I guess it would help if I actually used the finger that I registered to Touch ID. And there it goes. So today's edition is going to be taking kind of a more in-depth look at that. So if you're interested in this computer, it's going to be awesome. If you're not interested in this computer, then skip this video. We have more cool stuff coming up. Actually have some friends coming over today. We're gonna do some stuff with the Vive and just some different things. So stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, and you'll see that. But today, we're gonna dive in and take the full look at the new MacBook Pro. So if you haven't seen my other video of waiting for the MacBook Pro, unboxing the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, taking a look at it, definitely check out that video. I'll post it as the first thing in the description below. If you're watching this still, it's because you want to know more about this computer. So I'll just give you my initial impressions after a little bit of time with it, then we'll dive into looking at the actual computer. I have to say, I love the design, I love the improvements. I have had, and some people take me to be some kind of Apple freak. I've even had people accuse me before of like, oh, you must get this stuff for free. No, I don't get it for free. I wish I got it for free. But I switched to Apple, and I won't even say switch because I still use Windows for several things. Matter of fact, there's a Windows laptop right there, and back there is a Windows gaming PC. So you can't really say that I'm one way or the other, but I really love Mac. I've recommended it to my friends and family in 2007, I think, when they switched to the Intel processor. That was when I made the switch because I could run Windows or the Mac operating system, and I really like it. So I've had MacBook Pro since 2007. I think that this is really probably the best refinement of the MacBook Pro. I love how much thinner it's gotten. Right now I typically carry this around and a MacBook so that when I need it I have this, but when I don't I can lose the extra stuff and just have the MacBook. This is going to replace the MacBook and this, so this will just be kind of the one-all computer. I really think that just how thin and sleek this computer is great, and as much as the controversy is over USB-C, that's actually something I really like. I like this new format. It's where I want to go. It's what I want. So I'm going to dive in, show you kind of all the details, all the little things, and in the comments later I'll answer any questions that you have, because I know a lot of you are considering buying this. Some of you are just interested in it, and I'm fortunate to have one, and I also can go to the Apple Store anytime I want, and I know that some people live in places where you can't easily get to an Apple Store or try something. So here we go. So the first thing that I'll talk about is kind of the thing that most people are interested in, which is the Touch Bar. And what I'm going to do is we'll start over here with Touch ID, and I'll kind of show you the process for that. So just like on the phone, the iPhone, there is now a Touch ID setup. And so I'll put one finger in, but I'm going to go ahead and put another finger. So you simply hit add finger, and then it's going to make you type your real password. Okay, so once you've typed your password, then basically you're going to do the same old thing. So I'm going to use this other finger that I don't have registered, and as I place it, it basically does the same kind of thing as on the iPhone. It's just registering it, and you just kind of keep going over and over and over. And then it finally says your fingerprint can be used to unlock your Mac. And so that's pretty much it. I really do like having that there. I'll tell you a little bit of the things that I think that it does for me. It really saves me a lot of time. Think about how many times you put your password in on your computer, especially these days with basically how you have to put in your password every time you install a program or anything like that. For those of you who have been around for a while, back in the old days, you didn't even have a password. A lot of times on Windows and some of these machines, they just kind of booted up. You typed in Win and it opened. Well, now we use passwords all the time. So Touch ID is great because every time I'm annoyed and have to put in a password, I can Touch ID. So 1Password is one of the few kind of third parties that's supporting Touch ID right now. So I just opened it and it says 1Password is trying to unlock. So I'm just going to take and put my finger here and you get this message, 1Password Mini, Touch ID to unlock. So I put my finger there and then it's as if I opened it up by typing in my password. You know I'm not going to show you all my passwords, but okay. So that's a really cool feature. There's another third-party app that uses this. It's a color picker kind of a thing for developers and people who are looking at different colors. This is actually something that I do quite often. And what's cool is, here's a great place where Touch ID really helps. Or not Touch ID, but the touch bar. So there we have this palette of colors. As I drag around, you see this reflected on the screen. Now, this to me is kind of a little novelty app. I think one of the big questions that I've had going forward with this touch bar is, okay, is it a gimmick or is it something that I'm actually going to use? I do spend a lot of my time in front of large monitors, but a lot of times I have the laptop open, and that was one of my other questions is, am I now going to want to kind of have my laptop open and have the monitors? I'll be really interested to see when the 5K LGs are shipping and released, how that workflow works, and if that's something that I'm going to want to do is to put monitors up high, have the laptop down low, and use it. The places that I have found the touch bar to be most useful so far are places like documents. When you're working on a document and you are simply able to highlight something and then click on B for bold, or you're able to quickly select a color. It's these types of things, the spell check being right there, that actually you end up using it quite a bit. I'm not a big emoji person, but I've been using them more and more, and that is something that's very not so fun to do on the Mac. So one of the cool things with having the touch bar is that when you are going to send something like that, it's just right there, and it actually kind of makes that a more fun and a more pleasant experience. The other place that the touch bar really shines is in things like video editing. In Final Cut Pro, which is something that I use quite a bit, I'm able to easily move around in the timeline. I'm able to grab some tools that I use and do that very fast, and I think that's a big benefit. I'm very curious to see what Adobe will do with this. They've demoed some things, and we know that they're going to have full support for it, and I think that those apps are going to be awesome. So I think for creative professionals or people who just like doing stuff like that, it's going to be great. I think in terms of, is this totally revolutionary like the iPad was or the iPhone was in terms of, oh, now you can touch it and you don't use buttons? I don't think so, but I really am excited to see what they do with this, and I think it's going to have widespread support, and I think that it's a great idea and a cool innovation. I think time will tell us if it's gimmicky or if it's going to truly be something that developers figure out how to really properly use and do a great job of integrating. So another place of change and innovation is the keyboard. They had to make the computer thinner. This is my 12-inch MacBook, and it's super thin, and these keys I don't mind, and they're pretty quiet. Over here, this is kind of the next generation of that, and they gave them more travel, which I think made it louder. It may sound about the same on here, but it's got a lot more loudness, girth to it. So how loud is this really? What I'm going to do, and this will be kind of hard to translate to the camera, but I'm going to type in kind of the quiet, slow way. So, and that's a little louder than the old computer. But now my problem is I type really fast, and so I was in a meeting the other day typing. It can get kind of loud. So I think that's something that some people like, some people don't. I would not call this a super loud keyboard. Here's the this thing. That is the clickety clack, clickety clack. Here's the old one. And here's the new one. And here's the 12-inch. So if you ever wanted a bunch of keys clacking to hear them, just rewind and watch that over and over. Another new thing about this computer is the insanely large trackpad. On the 12-inch MacBook, we have a pretty big trackpad for the space. It feels a little wider than this on, this is a 2014. Over here, it's like, whoa, I like big trackpads and I cannot lie. I mean, this thing is freaking big. It is like from command key to command key and all the way to the freaking edge. One thing that I constantly do is I like to use this finger to move, this finger to click. So far, it's worked pretty good. There's been a few times that as I've maybe hit that, it didn't understand what I was doing, but that's very rare. For the most part, it just kind of functions as normal and it doesn't give you any trouble. You do have, your palms are definitely going to be on this thing, and you may have smaller hands than I do, but man, this, you're definitely going to be on this. So far, I have found it not to really give me a problem. The main thing, to be honest, that I've had issue with is, I guess, in hitting delete, or yeah, hitting the delete key a few times, I've activated Siri. And that's been kind of frustrating. That's more of a touch bar situation, just because, you know, you reach up there to hit something and you end up doing that. Okay, another big area of change is USB-C. And people have been really flipping their lids over USB-C. Here's kind of my thoughts on it. I think, one, it is a move in the right direction. In the past, Apple has come up with proprietary methods. Other things, like FireWire, have been big, but then they had all kinds of different formats and different plugs, and some computers had some didn't. So USB-C, I think, is truly going to be the thing that's going to hold us over for a long time, because it's not just USB-C, it's Thunderbolt, it's USB 3.1 and Thunderbolt 3, all in the same connection. And over the same connection, you can have power, you can have your data, and you have really high transfer speeds, and that's a really awesome thing. Here's something that I think is going to confuse people and is confusing, and that is the fact that not all cables are created equal. So this is an SSD that I put in this enclosure and hooked up with this cable. This is an actual 3.1 cable, and it works great. This is the charging cable from Apple, and it's actually a USB 2 cable. And so the problem is, you can hook this into there, but it's going to go really, really, really slow compared to what you're able to do with that. And I think that if you're in technology, you can understand that and you can get that, but I think a lot of people are going to struggle with that. I really wish that Apple could have just, you know, gone for it and given everyone the really nice cables to start with. But this is kind of the way it is, and this is how it's going to operate. One of the other big benefits of USB-C is the daisy chaining. And I don't have this elaborate of a setup right now, but in the past I had a Thunderbolt that came out. It actually went to a Thunder Bay drive. Then it went to another RAID. This is a Synology. This is not what it went to, but I'm just using this. It went to another RAID. Then it went to something else. Then it went to an Ethernet adapter. And the new USB-C connection can do the same, or Thunderbolt 3 can do the same kind of stuff. And that's really cool. It gets a lot more I/O. So you just have the one port, but then it just kind of daisy chains and connects, and that's really cool. The monitor behind here, this is a Thunderbolt 2 monitor, but the new 5K LG Ultrafine is going to be Thunderbolt 3, and you can connect 2 of those, or I don't remember how many 4Ks, but you can connect quite a few 4K monitors. So the one downfall is all these adapters. So here's the adapters that I've already gone through most of them. I think here's a charging cable that hadn't gotten used. And then today we've got more boxes, more stuff that has come in. opening tool. So, wow, here we go. Here is another mother load of adapters. So, you know, you can defend this stuff all you want, but at the end of the day, it is kind of crappy. Not to be outdone, we have another box here, and this is some Belkin. Now, whether this was a good idea or a bad idea, I don't know, but I decided instead of using a ton of adapters, even though I bought a ton of adapters, I'm gonna try to just use cables that actually work. So I got some things here. This is a Belkin USB-C to micro B. This is a USB-C to USB-B. This is a USB-C to mini B, and this is another USB-C to micro B. You know, I just figured, why not? But I mean, literally, that is a little ridiculous. We got some other stuff here, probably not related, but could be. So let's look and see. I don't even know what this is. Because it's from a third party. So this is a USB 3.0, and you're supposed to slide it around, and there is the USB-C connector. It's in here. Okay, so this is another shenanigan. This is a USB Type-C hard disk enclosure. This is the rugged USB-C. This is 4 terabytes. Yeah, so you are going to, this is going to be the future, guys, whether you like it or not, so you might as well start getting used to it. But I totally understand if you want to criticize in the comments for how many cables and stuff it takes to be a part of this ecosystem. Of course, another piece to look at is the speed of that internal SSD. And so we're going to take a look here using the Blackmagic disk speed test. So this is a 2014 MacBook Pro. We're getting a write here of 631, and our read got up to 711. Let's take a look over here on the brand new one, and we are pretty much blowing that out of the dang water. So that's pretty freaking awesome. So, you know, rev that engine up, make it happen. That's epic. So definitely faster, improved speed times. I don't know between like a brand new MacBook Pro, but basically for what I'm looking at, I'm definitely seeing a huge speed increase there. They're claiming additional time on the battery life over here. If you've looked at iFixit's teardown, there's actually like finger width spaces in here where they don't have batteries. So they didn't utilize all of the space that they could have, possibly trying to sacrifice weight or sacrifice it for airflow. But I haven't been able to conduct a lot of real life usage tests. I will say that I actually edited video, which is probably the worst thing you can do on a laptop running on batteries, and used it quite a bit and was pleasantly surprised. But I have not conducted in-depth testing on how this is going to behave with the battery. But so far, it feels a little above my expectations and maybe a little better than my mid-2014 MacBook Pro, but we'll have to see how good it actually is. So another thing to comment on is the screen. So I'm surrounded by screens. This is LG's kind of ultra-wide screen, which is really phenomenal. These are older monitors, but they have definitely gotten me by through the year. They're Samsungs. We have a 4K kind of large display back there. This and this. And I will say, out of all the monitors in the room, this thing is really dang impressive. It obviously is not going to come through on YouTube, but the first time that I saw it, I really was like, wow, I'm seeing more colors. I'm not one who gets excited over the monitor's going to be better in terms of improvements. I like resolution improvements. I don't get that excited about, you know, other things, but I really do feel like that's a great place. They've done a great job with it, and it is widely improved. So ultimately, I think time will tell how well the touch bar is adopted. I think it's going to be adopted, and it's going to be a good thing. I definitely think that this is a great improvement over their previous computers. I think that we're getting into a territory. I mean, here's the 12 inch MacBook Pro, which is basically the size of the bottom of that, and the lid isn't much thicker. So I think we're entering into that age where when Steve Jobs put that first MacBook Air in the envelope, and that was amazing, now we're putting the MacBook Pro in an office envelope, and that's really cool to see, considering the lack of power that laptops had when they first came out, all the way to where we're at today with this computer. So I think that this is a great option if you want to pay the Apple tax, which is definitely there, but you're going to get some really good things out of it. I definitely would do my homework because it is a lot of money to spend. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching. Appreciate anyone who wants to subscribe to the channel. And thank you for those of you who stuck through all the way to the very end of this video. And I really appreciate it. So if you have any questions or want to know anything, definitely let me know. And thanks for watching Man Cave Technologies.